Chairman, I think back to about 8 years ago when you came onto this board and you started asking questions about Rolling Hills and Wedgwood. And you started getting the same answers that we'd all got, that everybody had gotten over the years. And the difference, though, was that you didn't like those answers. You did not accept those answers. You didn't just take your $80,000 and sit there and do your job, whatever somebody else told you your job might be. For a while there, you stood alone very quickly. It went from 4-1 discussions to 3-2 discussions as Commissioner Berry realized what was going on. During all of that time, when you were in a 4-1 position and when Commissioner Berry was in a 3-2 position, the powers that be did not want you asking those questions. And had they had the tool of this ordinance at that time, they could have sued you into poverty, taken you right into court, because they didn't like you asking the questions that you were asking. Commissioner Berry, likewise, you did not like the answers that you were getting because you knew that people out in town were telling you that you were getting, that staff members were sitting idle in their trucks, sometimes under an oak tree, sometimes at a bar, at a restaurant somewhere, and you pushed very hard to get GPS monitoring of our trucks, driven almost entirely by you, and that leadership goes that action is on you. You got quite a bit of pushback from some senior staff, and it's actually noteworthy that one of those senior staff then retired, unwilling to put a GPS in his truck, and then ran against you, turning a governance issue into a politics issue. So it should be noted that all of the speakers today are precisely the same speakers that were Team McMillan and then Team Trotter that have turned all of our public forums into political discussions throughout the course of 2018. So it is noteworthy that we are here once again having that exact same discussion. And this time, I mean, yes, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to go into fairly grave detail. Certain emails have been brought out, many of them, certainly proud of it. I mean, if I was scared of any of that stuff, I wouldn't have put it in an email. Had some very direct conversation with Chips Kirshenfeld. And you know what? He had very direct conversations back with me, as two adults in the profession that we are in should have on behalf of the people. I will absolutely always follow, and I believe that every one of the commissioners must follow their moral compass, the promises that they made to their constituents, and Florida Statutes 125 that establishes what our jobs are. My constituents expect me to be able to answer detailed questions about just about everything in my district and in the county in general. They want those answers at the vegetable aisle in Publix. They want them in church. They want them wherever they ask those questions. And I will always answer those questions because I will always be informed. It is imperative that each commissioner recognize and remember that we answer to the voters, and in each of our districts, our voters have expectations of us. It is not in the place of the body of commissioners to tell another commissioner how to do their job, particularly on the things in their district. And if there ever comes a time where asking hard questions is not an acceptable behavior of a county commissioner, then I do not know how we will ever be able to represent the people who sent us here. We sit in these chairs to ask the hard questions that they would ask if they had access. So for myself, I say that there is no need for this ordinance. There's certainly, and if there were a need for this ordinance, you would see a much greater audience calling for it than just the same people who have literally spoken against every single issue that I have worked on for the last 12 months. Not one single speaker in favor of this ordinance other than that same group of people who is literally here for every single meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Underhill, Commissioner Bergosh, and Commissioner Benda.
Yeah, a couple of things, Doug. You know, I brought this. That's right, I brought it. I brought it because staff members are leaving. They're jumping ship. And they're telling me they're sick of being bullied, bossed around, and they're sick of being directed, and they're leaving. And so I looked around. I mean, look, other places have dealt with this. We're not going to recreate the wheel. We don't have to. That's why you look around the state of Florida, and over half the counties have an ordinance just like this one. And guess what? It works because it does have teeth. Last week, we interviewed candidates to become the new county administrator. And during our one-on-one interviews, I made it a point to ask questions about their experience in dealing with precisely this issue, because there has to be swim lanes, right? We talk about swim lanes. So everyone's got to stay in their swim lanes. And I get it. That's why the ordinance, if you read it, Doug, it clearly says nothing prohibits you from asking questions, making inquiries, because that is our job. And we do ask tough questions. And if you don't think I ask tough questions, go talk to Malcolm Thomas about New Point. You don't think I'd ask tough questions, go read about that one. You'll learn a little something there. So with that said, I looked at what other counties did, what other cities, municipalities do around the state and around the country. And they, many times, have an ordinance just like this. Our attorney sent out a raft of these ordinances from around the state. Charter county, non-charter county, they're out there because there will be commissioners that overstep the boundaries. And I think that's happened here, sadly. And that's why I brought this. But let's fast forward to last week's interviews. We spent $5,000 with FACM to vet that list. We had 5 good candidates at the end. One of them was local, one of them was from Minnesota. My number one was a guy who ran Hamilton County, Cincinnati, Ohio, for years and years and years. He and I hit it off great. But my number 2 was Janice Gilley, because both of those candidates expressed the desire to protect the employees. See, we're elected officials. We take slings and arrows. That's what we get paid for. We got alligator skin. Amy Lavoie is not an elected official. She doesn't deserve to be treated the way she's been treated, and neither do several of the employees, Mike Weaver, others. We don't need to name names. So the last thing I want to do is step on the new administrator's toes. And so I did think about this. I thought about it and I prayed about it. And I was hoping that our new administrator would start sooner. But she's not able to start till June 24th. And now we find out tonight Amy's gone. Matt's right behind her. So I'm concerned. But I don't want to cramp her style coming in. She assured me in my conversations with Janice Gilley that she's going to look out for staff. She's not going to let them get berated here at the dais, online, or whatever the case might be. She's going to protect the staff, and she's going to make sure people stay in their lanes. I take her at her word. In fact, she used the word mother wolf. She says, I'll be like a mother wolf. I'm going to make sure that staff's not directed and they're not berated. And so with that assurance, I'd like to give her a chance to do it. So I'm willing to have the conversation tonight. That's why I left it on the agenda. I think it's very important because if we've got commissioners running staff around, it demoralizes them. Like Scott said when he came up, it creates chaos. There has to be a clear chain of command. And I look forward to some of the initiatives that Janice is going to bring. She has a 100-day plan. She's got a chart, and it was very impressive. So I wish she was here sooner, but here's the critical key. I'm going to wait and see. I'm going to watch. We know where to find these ordinances if we need to bring them back. That's where I'm at.